This video will be a little different. Hi friends, I'm Nicolai, an industrial design student from Germany, and in the last months I was lucky enough to do an exchange semester here in Taiwan. On this channel, I normally share my design journey and lessons learned to help yours. But I imagine some of you are not here to learn about design, but about the exchange semester to Taiwan. So in this video, I will not only share my experiences, but also give all of the answers to the questions I had before coming here and didn't find anything about. I put timestamps everywhere, so that if you want to come back to this video, you can just jump in where you need to. And I try to make the most comprehensive and helpful video on YouTube about this. So if you watch it to the end, I would really appreciate that. And with that, let's get right in. First things first. When I came here, me, my family and friends got a lot of concerned messages. So let me clear this up. Despite anything you heard in the news, Taiwan is not a literal war zone. In starting here, I was never really confronted with those realities of world politics. It is a pretty highly developed country, being world leader in aspects like microelectronics. There's great food, amazing people, and it's super safe. And I really have to emphasize this one. I come from Germany. Generally a pretty safe country, right? But Taiwan felt on an entirely different level. And the difference in feel of safety obviously was a lot bigger as well for friends from India or something. I think it's quite sad that we have to talk about this, but when I came here, a taxi driver welcomed me warmly. I didn't have to pay any fee. He told me very proudly that Taiwan is a safe country, a country where women can go out at night without worrying. And from all that I've seen so far, I can really agree with that. Also, things do not get stolen. Okay, except bikes on the campus, that is. But except that, the things do not get stolen. Let me illustrate this. Everyone leaves the helmet and starting keys inside of the motorbike or scooter. It's crazy, I've never seen that kind of thing. If you are in a cafe and go to the toilet, you just leave your phone or laptop there. Without worrying, nothing will get taken. If you lose money or valuables, those will just stay there until you come to pick them up. A friend once forgot his camera outside, and when he came back a day later, it still was there, waiting for him. I know this became pretty long, but I really wanted to drive this point home. Because in Taiwan, I did not only not feel threatened by the political situation, but also felt safer than in Germany, all in general. But with this out of the way, let's get started. I studied at NCKU. People say it's one of the 4 Ivy League colleges of Taiwan. And people compare it with the MIT because of its focus on engineering and technology. And especially here in the south of Taiwan, this name holds quite a lot of weight, actually. I was a little bit surprised by it. Just saying that you're from NCKU opens up a lot of doors, and people really respect that. And it was a little bit of a weird experience for me, because I never really had that with my normal school. And honestly, sometimes it felt a little bit odd. The beautiful and diverse campuses are spread throughout the city, but the main parts are bunched together close to the main station. The administration work and onboarding can be quite nerve-wracking. And to be honest, at some points I felt extremely lost in the process, where there was technical difficulties, people that didn't know where I was supposed to go. I don't think I would have been able to navigate all of that if I hadn't had any friends and some people in the faculties that helped me. There's definitely a lot of opportunities for misunderstandings and things that could have been avoided. Just as a heads up. The NCKU is based in Tainan, one of the 5 capital cities, the former capital of Taiwan, and nowadays the cultural capital. That's a lot of capital in one sentence. Climate is generally really warm and nice. And even in the winter, it only got cold for a couple of days. But I spent my time here in the winter semester. So what I heard from a lot of people is that the summers are almost unbearable because of extreme heat and humidity. Even though the city is quite big and there's a lot of people living here, it doesn't really feel like it. That has to do with a lot of things, but it's also depending on where you are at the moment. There's a very interesting mix of culture, the historic and the new. Because of a lot of old buildings being right next to new, fresh hipster shops and all of that. That's something I really appreciated about Taiwan, but Tainan especially. This mix of the old and the new and how they preserve it. The city is filled with temples at literally every corner, next to fresh, hipstery bars and bubble tea shops. Also, if you didn't know, bubble tea is from Taiwan, and the people here enjoy it a lot. But there's also a lot of other things you will appreciate in the city. For example, the beaches. But more importantly, the food. The city is not only known for its culture, but also to have the best food in Taiwan. And after living here for a while, I can definitely confirm that. Because there once was a sugar production here, and having sweet things was a sign of wealth. A lot of things here are supposed to be a little bit sweeter than in other parts of the country. But to be honest, I'm not really sure about that as an outsider. What I'm sure about though is that the people that come from here, that are from Tainan or live here, are super sweet. And there's even a pickup line someone told me about, which goes something like, "You're so sweet, you must be from Tainan." Everyone here is super warm and welcoming. The city is also known for the Tainan lifestyle, which is a little bit more relaxed than in the other parts of the country. People dress far more casually. They also take their time a little bit more. And the mindset generally is that things take a little bit longer, but you enjoy the journey a lot more and the outcome will be better. They focus on the outcome, on the quality of the things they produce. But exactly because of this lifestyle, it also became a city for young artists and entrepreneurs that seek out that kind of life and start a lot of new and fresh things here. As an exchange student, you will most likely live in Ching-Yeh 3. It is a student dorm and pretty much surrounded by everything you would need. The dorm is separated in a building for girls and for boys. There's common areas and washing facilities. The rooms are always for 2 people. Both of us had a bed, work table, and a lot of storage room. There's internet via LAN, a sink, bathroom, and shower. Also a balcony with a very nice view, also to hang your clothes. You have to get your own mattress, but there's a store right opposite of the dorm, or you can get them for cheap from the people that move out. Also good to know, there's not really a kitchen and you're not allowed to have something like a rice cooker in your room. But there's a fridge to keep things fresh. And now you're wondering, how will you be eating? And we come back to that a little bit later. The neighborhood is also very nice. If you have a bike, everything is very close, like 3 to 10 minutes maximum. If you are understandably so not really sure if you really want to live and sleep in the same room as a stranger, I also felt very unsure about that. But to be honest, in the end, living at the dorm and having all my friends close by, I think that was one of the biggest highlights of my experience here. So I would really recommend you to try it. What a couple of other friends did though, was to rent out an apartment together. It can be a little bit more costly and also a little bit harder to get one from abroad. But if you want to try it, do so. You will most likely use a bike here. If you are fast enough, you can just get one for free at the military division for the time of your exchange semester. And if you have to buy a used one, that's also not too bad. They go for around 50 to 100 US dollars. And you can sell them afterwards. You can park your bike in front of the dorm or inside of the garage downstairs. And with the bike, you can go pretty much everywhere you want pretty quickly. But most Taiwanese use a scooter, and it's pretty much the most convenient option to travel here. But it doesn't really make sense for most exchange students to have one permanently. Maybe for small trips, but not the entire time here. Tainan also has a bus system, but honestly, I never really used it, and I don't know if it's worth your time. For most occasions, it makes sense to use a bike instead of the bus. The train and bus system in between cities though is just amazing. And with the local intercity trains, you can go to neighboring cities such as Kaohsiung for less than $2. And once you have your student ID, things get even better. Because inside of your student ID, there's a iPass or Easy Card where you can load on money and use it to pay for public transport, but also in many convenience stores. And the coolest part, student discounts automatically apply. Intercity buses are also very cheap, reliable, and super comfortable. And you can travel from Tainan to Taipei for less than $15. But don't do the same mistake as me, thinking that Taiwan would be a relatively less expensive country to live in, because it really isn't. Prices are almost the exact same as in Germany, for example, sometimes even a little bit more. One thing that is much cheaper though is food. There's no kitchen in the dorm, and that has a reason, because there's also no kitchens in a lot of normal apartments. People are used to generally not cook at home, but eat out. And there's these extremely cheap family restaurants where you can eat out for every single meal of the day. And they are everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I really mean it, everywhere. And even though it's cheap, the food is amazing. It really is. A big, really filling lunch, most of the time is somewhere between $2 to $3. I don't really know how they do it, but it's good that they do it because it's amazing. And the food, I love the food here. So obviously, depending on what you do, what your lifestyle is, how you spend money, how much you travel, and all those kind of things, your expenses will vary. And imagine they can vary around 300 to 800 US dollars a month. Oh, and remember, you will probably need something like a health insurance for abroad. Depending on how you do that, it can also be quite expensive. In my time here, obviously worked a lot, but there's also life aside work, right? So let's get into the student life I had and what you might expect. The university alone has endless amounts of clubs and things to do. They have an entire building for that, filled to the brim with clubs of all kinds. From every type of dancing to culinary arts to BDSM, there's something for truly everyone there. But just as a tip, sign up quickly because the ones I wanted to apply to were already full when I wanted to apply to them. And I missed my chance to participate in club life. But there's so many other things that people also organize outside of clubs. Many events by students, concerts, a haunted house, yoga classes, parades. As a student, you also get access to 2 gyms and a swimming hall where you can go exercise for quite cheap. In everyday life, you should be able to communicate in English quite well, especially on university campuses. But you will definitely need Google Translate, not only to communicate with people that don't speak English, even though you should learn Chinese, but also to read menus or street signs. In my department, people were extremely nice and always ready to do something together. But to be honest, like most exchange students, I most of the time spent it with my other exchange student friends from the dorm. We had a big line group with over 100 people and always just rolled in there if we needed help or organized some kind of event or wanted to go for dinner. And I think that is a big part because you can go out to eat 3 times a day and always invite people to go there. And it's extremely nice. Tainan as a city is also very much known for its cozy bars, which have an amazing atmosphere. Also night cafes. But because both can be quite expensive, our favorite bar was the park next to the dorm, where we spent a lot of nights with one or the other Taiwan beer, chatting or even having park karaoke. Because one of our friends had a karaoke machine in his laptop and microphones. Tainan has only very few clubs. The regular spot was called Legends. It is a foreigner bar, but on Saturdays it opened up a 2nd and 3rd level, having a club and also a pub level. But for real clubbing, most people went to Kaohsiung, a neighboring city that is quite close by and very cheap to go to via public transport. And they have a way bigger and livelier clubbing scene. But nightlife aside, there's so many things to do in Tainan and also in Taiwan. Because the country is not that big, it's easy to explore a lot of it. There's so many amazing sites, cities, national parks to go to. As for myself, I really enjoyed exploring the cities because there's so many small alleys, stories, stores, temples to find in there. And Taiwan really is a street photographer's dream. But some places I recommend you to go to are Green Island, a beautiful island with amazing landscape and a very dark past. Sun Moon Lake, one of the most amazing natural landscapes and places I've ever seen. The Lotus Lake in Kaohsiung with all of its temples. Pier 2 in Kaohsiung as well. And to really spend some time exploring Taipei and Tainan, because I really think it's worth it.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go to Family Mart. I have a better idea. Let's go to Family Mart.
Guys, no! Let's go to Family Mart!
In your daily life, convenience stores such as Family Mart or 7-Eleven will become your best friend. And to be honest, I don't really know how I ever lived without them or when coming back to Germany. They are open 24/7 and you can buy pretty much anything you want there. All things you need in daily life, but mainly food, snacks, coffee. Hungry at 3 a.m? No worries. Just go to your closest 7-Eleven and there's a cheap, nice warm meal waiting for you. Want to do a bank transfer, receive cash, or copy something? You're looking for the closest toilet? They're amazing and really at every single corner. Sometimes to a ridiculous amount and it feels like Taiwan's economy is solely based on 7-Elevens. So all in all, I can just really recommend you to do an exchange semester and do it here in Tainan. I came here because I wanted to have something completely different. And that is exactly what I've gotten. If you want to come to one of the safest, nicest, and most interesting countries with amazing food and study at a top university, do your exchange here. You will not regret it. I didn't. And if now you became interested in doing an exchange semester, I prepared this playlist for you. See you next time.